What if everything you've been told about needing support to succeed is not just wrong, but actually keeping you trapped in mediocrity? What if the very thing that feels like your biggest disadvantage, having no one in your corner, might actually be your greatest advantage? In the next few minutes, I'm going to share something that might sound impossible at first, but by the end, you'll understand why being underestimated, overlooked, and doubted might actually be the perfect launching pad for extraordinary success. Right now, you might be feeling the weight of being the only one who sees your potential. Maybe your family thinks your dreams are unrealistic. Maybe your friends roll their eyes when you talk about your goals. Maybe your colleagues have written you off, or worse, maybe you're starting to wonder if they're right. You look around and see other people with cheerleaders, mentors, networks of support, and you think, how am I supposed to make it when I'm doing this alone? You watch others get opportunities handed to them while you're fighting for every small step forward. You see people with half your talent getting twice the recognition because they have the right connections or the right background. But here's what I want you to understand. What looks like a disadvantage is actually preparation for a level of success that most people never reach. What feels like isolation is actually incubation. What seems like rejection is actually redirection towards something bigger than anyone around you can currently see. The people who achieve the most extraordinary things, who create the most lasting impact, who build the most authentic success, they almost always start exactly where you are right now. Alone, doubted, underestimated, and hungry. Stay with me because this changes everything. The hidden reality. Have you ever noticed how the people who eventually achieve remarkable success often start their stories with "nobody believed in me" or "everyone said it was impossible"? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on the pain of rejection, the loneliness of being misunderstood, the frustration of fighting for every opportunity. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine Marcus, a young man from a small town who dreamed of starting a tech company. When he shared his vision with his family, they reminded him that nobody in their family had ever gone to college, let alone started a business. His high school counselor suggested he look into trade school instead of university. His friends laughed when he spent weekends learning to code instead of hanging out. Marcus felt completely alone with his dreams. Every conversation about his future felt like a battle. Every small step forward felt like he was walking against hurricane winds. He started to wonder if everyone else could see something he couldn't, if maybe he was delusional about his own potential. But here's what Marcus didn't understand yet, what most people in his position don't realize. This resistance wasn't evidence that he was wrong about himself. It was evidence that he was thinking bigger than his environment could support. The truth is, most people operate from their own limitations. When they tell you something is impossible, they're often revealing the boundaries of their own imagination, not yours. When they discourage your dreams, they're frequently protecting themselves from the discomfort of examining their own unlived potential. Think about a seed that's planted in poor soil. The harsh conditions don't mean the seed is defective. They mean the seed needs to develop stronger roots, more resilience, more resourcefulness. Those difficult conditions actually create a stronger plant that can thrive anywhere, while seeds planted in perfect conditions might struggle when faced with any adversity. Your current situation, being doubted, underestimated, or unsupported, isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's forcing you to develop qualities that people with easy paths never need to cultivate: self-reliance, inner conviction, creative problem-solving, and unshakable determination. But here's where most people get stuck. They focus on the loneliness of their journey instead of the strength it's building. They see the lack of external validation as evidence of their inadequacy instead of evidence of their originality. They interpret resistance as a stop sign instead of a detour sign pointing toward a more unique path. The discomfort you're feeling right now isn't a sign you're on the wrong track. It's often a sign you're on a track that leads somewhere most people never go. The fact that others can't see your vision doesn't mean the vision is flawed. It often means the vision is so far ahead of current thinking that only you can see it clearly. Every revolutionary idea,
Every breakthrough innovation, every transformative movement started with someone who was told it couldn't be done. The Wright brothers were called crazy for thinking humans could fly. Einstein's teachers said he'd never amount to anything. Oprah was fired from her first television job for being too emotionally invested. What if the very resistance you're experiencing is actually the universe's way of ensuring that only the most committed, most authentic, most determined people reach certain levels of success? What if being doubted is actually a filtering process that separates those who merely wish from those who will? The pain you're feeling from being misunderstood or unsupported isn't evidence that you should give up. It's evidence that you're attempting something worth doing, something that matters enough to fight for, something that will require you to become the fullest version of yourself. The wisdom story. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who discovered the hidden power of being underestimated in the most challenging circumstances. Sarah was a single mother working 2 jobs just to keep her small apartment. She had dreams of becoming a writer, but everyone in her life saw this as an impractical fantasy. Her mother constantly reminded her that people like us don't become writers. Her ex-husband used her writing aspirations as evidence that she was irresponsible and unrealistic. Her co-workers at the diner where she waited tables would smirk when she mentioned staying up late to work on her novel. Even her closest friends suggested she focus on more practical goals. For months, Sarah felt the crushing weight of being the only person who believed in her dream. She'd sit at her kitchen table at 2 a.m., exhausted from working double shifts, trying to write while everyone else slept, wondering if she was crazy for pursuing something that seemed so impossible given her circumstances.
But then, something profound happened. Sarah realized that this isolation was actually giving her something invaluable: complete creative freedom. Because no one was paying attention to what she was doing, she didn't have to worry about anyone's opinions or expectations. She didn't have to write what others thought she should write. She didn't have to modify her vision to make others comfortable. In that lonely space, Sarah found her authentic voice. She wrote about experiences that people in her immediate circle couldn't relate to, but that millions of people around the world were living. She explored themes that her environment considered too ambitious or unrealistic, but that spoke to universal human experiences. More importantly, being forced to believe in herself when no one else would developed an unshakable inner conviction that external validation could never provide. When Sarah finally published her novel and it became a bestseller, she realized that the success felt almost secondary to the confidence she developed during those lonely years of writing in secret. The recognition was wonderful, but it didn't define her worth, because she'd already learned to define her own worth. The external validation was nice, but it wasn't necessary because she developed internal validation. The support that eventually came felt like a bonus rather than a requirement. Sarah's story reveals something crucial. When you're forced to be your own biggest believer, you develop a relationship with your dreams that no external circumstance can shake. When you learn to validate your own vision, you become unshakable in your pursuit of it. This is what transforms everything about leveling up without believers. The goal isn't to prove others wrong. The goal is to become so aligned with your authentic path that others' opinions become irrelevant. Most people think they need external belief to fuel their journey, but the truth is that external belief can actually make you dependent and fragile. When your motivation comes from others' approval, your progress stops the moment that approval is withdrawn. When your confidence comes from external validation, it crumbles under criticism. But when you develop the ability to believe in yourself independently, when you learn to see your own potential clearly regardless of who else can see it, you become unstoppable. Not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone, but because you're living from an internal knowing that doesn't require external confirmation. This is the secret that every person who has achieved extraordinary success from humble beginnings understands. Being forced to believe in yourself when no one else will isn't a disadvantage. It's the development of the most powerful success skill possible: unshakable self-belief. The revelation. Here's what transforms everything about leveling up without believers. The people who doubt you aren't your obstacle, they're your advantage.
Let me tell you about David, a young man who wanted to become a filmmaker but came from a family that viewed creative careers as impractical luxuries. Every conversation about his future became an argument. His parents insisted he study business or engineering. His relatives constantly asked when he was going to get serious about his life.
David felt like he was swimming upstream against a current of disapproval and skepticism. But then he realized something that changed his entire perspective. The very qualities that made him different from his family, his creativity, his willingness to take risks, his ability to see possibilities they couldn't see, were exactly the qualities that would make him successful in his chosen field. The resistance he was experiencing wasn't random. It was the natural friction that occurs when someone tries to expand beyond their environment's capacity for vision. His family's inability to understand his dreams wasn't a reflection of the dream's validity. It was a reflection of the fact that he was thinking beyond the boundaries of their experience. This reveals the deeper truth. When no one believes in you, you're often operating at a level of vision and possibility that your current environment cannot comprehend. You're not behind, you're ahead. You're not lacking, you're pioneering. While most people try to convince others to believe in their dreams, true breakthrough comes from developing the courage to pursue those dreams regardless of who believes in them. While most people wait for permission or validation, extraordinary achievement comes from learning to give yourself permission and create your own validation. Think about it this way: when everyone around you believes in your path, you're probably walking a well-traveled road. When no one believes in your path, you're probably creating a new one. Roads that everyone can see and understand lead to destinations that everyone can reach. Roads that only you can see lead to destinations that only you can discover. The most innovative companies, the most groundbreaking art, the most transformative movements all started with someone pursuing a vision that their immediate environment couldn't understand or support. Steve Jobs was told that personal computers would never have mass appeal. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter found a home. Martin Luther King Jr. was criticized even by other civil rights leaders for his methods and timeline. What made these individuals extraordinary wasn't that they eventually gained believers. What made them extraordinary was that they learned to be their own first and most committed believer. Here's the counterintuitive truth: needing others to believe in you before you fully believe in yourself actually limits your potential. It means you can only go as far as others can imagine you going. It means your success is capped by the vision and courage of your environment rather than your own vision and courage. But when you develop the ability to believe in yourself independently, your potential becomes unlimited. When you learn to validate your own dreams, you stop being constrained by others' limitations. When you become your own source of encouragement and motivation, you become unstoppable. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others' input. It means you become discerning about whose opinions carry weight in your decision-making. It means you learn to distinguish between constructive feedback and limiting beliefs. It means you develop the confidence to pursue your authentic path even when it looks different from what others expect or understand. The moment you stop needing others to believe in you before you take action, everything changes. Your energy shifts from convincing others to creating results. Your focus moves from seeking approval to building competence. Your motivation transforms from external validation to internal satisfaction. People begin to notice something different about you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're no longer trying to impress them. Your commitment to your path becomes magnetic because it's authentic rather than performative. Your confidence becomes attractive because it's internal rather than dependent. Foundation 1: Self-validation. The first foundation for leveling up without believers is developing the ability to validate your own dreams, progress, and potential without requiring external confirmation. This isn't about delusion or ego. It's about developing accurate self-assessment skills and internal motivation systems. Start by creating your own metrics for success and progress. Instead of waiting for others to recognize your achievements, learn to recognize them yourself. Keep a record of your growth, your learning, your small victories, and your breakthrough moments. Celebrate progress that others might not even notice. Develop a practice of daily self-acknowledgement. Each evening, identify at least 3 things you did that day that moved you closer to your goals. These might be tiny steps: reading 1 chapter of a relevant book, making 1 important phone call, practicing a skill for 30 minutes. The size of the action matters less than the consistency of acknowledging your effort. Learn to trust your own instincts and judgment about your path. When everyone around you is saying one thing, but your gut is telling you something different, practice giving weight to your internal wisdom. This doesn't mean ignoring all feedback, but it means developing the discernment to distinguish between helpful input and limiting projections. Create rituals that reinforce your vision when external support is lacking. This might be a morning practice where you visualize your goals as already achieved, or a weekly session where you write about your future self and the life you're creating. These practices help you stay connected to your vision when the world around you can't see it. Surround yourself with evidence of possibility rather than evidence of limitation. Read biographies of people who achieved what you want to achieve. Study examples of others who succeeded despite starting from similar circumstances. Fill your mental environment with stories of breakthrough rather than stories of why things are impossible. Develop the skill of reframing challenges as opportunities for growth. When you face setbacks or criticism, instead of seeing these as evidence that you should quit, practice seeing them as feedback that can help you refine your approach. Every obstacle becomes information rather than confirmation of inadequacy. Build a relationship with your future self. Regularly imagine the person you're becoming through this journey. What qualities are you developing? What strength are you building? What wisdom are you gaining? This helps you see the current challenges as investments in your future success rather than just difficulties to endure. Foundation 2. Strategic independence. The second foundation is developing strategic independence, the ability to make progress toward your goals without needing others' resources, permission, or participation. This involves becoming resourceful, self-reliant, and creative in finding ways to advance despite limited external support.
Master the art of self-education. In today's world, you can learn almost anything through books, online courses, podcasts, and free resources. Instead of waiting for someone to teach you or fund your education, take responsibility for your own learning. Become a student of your field, your craft, your industry. Develop multiple income streams that support your dreams rather than competing with them. Instead of choosing between survival and pursuing your goals, find ways to create financial stability that actually moves you closer to your objectives. This might mean freelancing in skills adjacent to your main goal, or taking jobs that provide relevant experience. Build your skills systematically and strategically. Identify the key competencies you need to succeed in your chosen field and work on developing them one by one. Focus on skills that are both valuable and difficult to replicate, making yourself increasingly indispensable and capable. Create your own opportunities instead of waiting for them to be offered. If no one will hire you in your desired role, create that role for yourself through freelancing, volunteering, or starting your own project. If no one will publish your work, self-publish. If no one will fund your idea, bootstrap it. Network strategically with people who share your vision and ambition rather than trying to convince skeptics. Seek out communities, online groups, and individuals who are pursuing similar paths or who have achieved what you want to achieve. Surround yourself with people who expand your sense of possibility rather than those who contract it. Develop the ability to start small and scale gradually. Instead of needing everything to be perfect or fully supported before you begin, practice starting with what you have and building momentum through consistent action. Small daily efforts compound into significant results over time. Learn to be comfortable with uncertainty and delayed gratification. Most extraordinary achievements require years of effort before external results become visible. Develop the emotional resilience to stay committed to your path even when progress seems slow or when others can't see how your current activities connect to your ultimate goals. Foundation 3. Vision protection. The third foundation is learning to protect your vision from being diluted, discouraged, or derailed by well-meaning but limiting advice from others. This involves developing clear boundaries around your dreams and strategic communication about your goals. Become selective about who you share your dreams with. Not everyone needs to know your full vision, especially those who consistently respond with skepticism or discouragement. Save your deepest aspirations for people who can hold them with respect and encouragement, even if they don't fully understand them. Develop standard responses for common discouraging comments. When people say, "That's unrealistic," or "You should be more practical," have thoughtful responses ready that acknowledge their concern without adopting their limitations. Something like, "I appreciate your concern and I'm committed to pursuing this thoughtfully," can end conversations without engaging in debates. Learn to extract valuable information from criticism without absorbing limiting beliefs. When someone offers feedback, practice separating useful tactical advice from underlying assumptions about what's possible. Take the actionable insights while leaving behind the constraints.
Create a vision board or other visual representation of your goals that you can reference regularly. When surrounded by people who can't see your potential, having visual reminders of your destination helps maintain clarity and motivation. Keep these in private spaces where they won't invite unwanted commentary. Practice talking about your journey in terms of current activities rather than future dreams. Instead of saying, "I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur," say, "I'm currently developing my business skills." This approach reduces others' tendency to offer discouraging opinions while keeping you focused on actionable steps. Develop a personal mission statement that captures why your goals matter to you. When others question your path, you can refer back to this deeper purpose rather than trying to justify your choices to people who may not share your values or vision. Build rituals that reconnect you with your vision regularly. This might be monthly planning sessions where you review your progress and adjust your strategy, or weekly visualization practices where you imagine yourself living your ideal life. These practices help maintain connection to your goals when external reminders are lacking. Foundation 4. Momentum building. The fourth foundation is creating and maintaining forward momentum through consistent action, even when progress feels slow or invisible to others. This involves developing systems and habits that compound over time into significant results. Break your large goals into daily actions that are so small they feel almost trivial. Instead of overwhelming yourself with the magnitude of what you want to achieve, focus on what you can do today. Read 10 pages, write 200 words, practice for 15 minutes, make one important phone call. Create accountability systems that don't depend on others. This might be tracking your progress in a journal, using apps that monitor your habits, or setting up automated reminders. Develop ways to stay consistent that rely on systems rather than motivation or external pressure. Celebrate small wins regularly, even when others don't recognize them. Each completed task, each skill developed, each fear overcome is worth acknowledging. Create personal rewards for reaching milestones that keep you motivated during long periods without external recognition. Focus on input metrics rather than output metrics. Instead of measuring success only by results you can't fully control, track the actions you take consistently. Measure the number of pages you write, the hours you practice, the connections you make, the skills you develop. Develop the ability to work effectively in isolation. Many extraordinary achievements require long periods of focused effort away from others. Learn to be productive and motivated when working alone. Create environments and routines that support deep work and sustained effort. Build evidence files that document your progress over time. Keep records of your learning, your achievements, your growth, and your breakthrough moments. When doubt creeps in or when others question your path, you'll have concrete evidence of how far you've come. Practice patience with the process while maintaining urgency with daily actions. Understand that meaningful achievement takes time, but don't let that understanding become an excuse for complacency. Be patient with results while being disciplined with effort. The transformation process. As you implement these foundations, you'll notice a gradual but profound transformation in how you approach your goals and how you relate to others' opinions about your path. Initially, you might still feel the sting of others' doubts or the loneliness of pursuing your dreams without support. This is normal and expected. The goal isn't to eliminate these feelings immediately, but to develop the capacity to move forward despite them. Over time, you'll notice that others' opinions begin to carry less weight in your decision-making. Not because you become arrogant or dismissive, but because you develop such clear internal conviction that external voices become just background noise rather than determining factors. You'll find that your relationship with feedback becomes more sophisticated. Instead of either rejecting all inputs or being devastated by criticism, you'll develop the ability to extract useful information while maintaining your core vision and self-belief. Perhaps most importantly, you'll discover that the very challenges that initially felt like obstacles become sources of strength and competitive advantage. The self-reliance you develop through working without external supports becomes a superpower that serves you throughout your life. People will begin to respond to you differently, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you embody a level of commitment and authenticity that naturally commands respect. Your unshakable belief in your path becomes magnetic to others who are also committed to growth and excellence. You'll start to see the resistance you initially faced as a filtering process that ensured only your most authentic dreams survived. The goals that could be easily discouraged by other skepticism weren't strong enough to sustain you through the inevitable challenges of meaningful achievement. Eventually, you may find that some of the people who initially doubted you become your biggest supporters. Not because you convinced them, but because your results spoke louder than your words. However, by this point, their support feels like a nice bonus rather than a necessity. Advanced strategies. As your foundations strengthen, there are advanced strategies that can accelerate your progress and deepen your resilience. Learn to use doubt as fuel rather than allowing it to be a drain. When someone expresses skepticism about your goals, practice converting that energy into determination. Let their disbelief motivate you to prove the possibility through your actions rather than your arguments. Develop the ability to find mentors and models even when you don't have direct access to them. Study the biographies, interviews, and work of people who have achieved what you want to achieve. Learn from their strategies, mindsets, and approaches even if you can't learn from them directly. Master the art of strategic patience combined with tactical urgency. Be willing to work for years towards goals that others expect to happen quickly while taking immediate action on the steps that are available to you today. Think in decades, but act in days. Build what entrepreneurs call proof of concept through small experiments and projects. Instead of trying to convince others of your potential through words, demonstrate it through results. Start small, show progress, and let success create its own believers. Develop the ability to pivot and adapt your approach without abandoning your core vision. When specific strategies don't work, or when circumstances change, maintain flexibility in your methods while staying committed to your ultimate objectives. Create multiple paths toward your goals so that you're not dependent on any single opportunity or approval. Having several different ways to reach your destination makes you less vulnerable to any particular door being closed. Learn to find and create communities of fellow travelers, even when your immediate environment is unsupportive. Through online groups, conferences, workshops, or professional organizations, connect with others who share your ambitions and understand your journey. Living your vision. As we conclude this exploration, remember that learning to level up without believers isn't just about achieving external success. It's about developing into the kind of person who can create extraordinary results regardless of circumstances. The skills you develop through this process, self-validation, strategic independence, vision protection, and momentum building, become permanent parts of your character. They serve you not just in reaching your current goals, but in every future challenge and opportunity you encounter. You become someone who doesn't need permission to pursue excellence, approval to take action, or external motivation to stay committed. You develop the rare ability to see possibility where others see obstacles, to find opportunity where others see problems, to create success where others see impossibility.
This transformation affects not just your professional or creative pursuits, but every area of your life. Your relationships improve because you're no longer seeking validation or approval. Your decision-making becomes clearer because it's based on your authentic values rather than others' expectations. Your stress decreases because your worth isn't dependent on external circumstances. Perhaps most importantly, you become an inspiration to others who are struggling with similar challenges. Your example shows them that it's possible to succeed without conventional support, that dreams can be achieved through determination and strategic action, that self-belief can be developed rather than just hoped for.
The path of leveling up without believers is not easy, but it's extraordinarily rewarding. It requires you to develop strength, resilience, and self-reliance that most people never need to cultivate. It demands that you become clear about your values, committed to your vision, and creative in your approach. But the person you become through this process is someone who can handle any challenge, pursue any dream, and create any outcome they're willing to work for. You become truly unstoppable not because nothing can stop you, but because you've learned to keep moving forward regardless of what tries to stop you. Your current situation, being doubted, underestimated, or unsupported, isn't a disadvantage. It's preparation for a level of success and fulfillment that most people never reach. It's training for the extraordinary life that's waiting for you on the other side of your commitment to believing in yourself. The world needs what you have to offer. Your unique vision, your particular talents, your specific contribution, these things exist for a reason. Don't let others' inability to see your potential convince you that the potential isn't real. You don't need anyone else to believe in you to get started. You just need to believe in yourself enough to take the next step, and then the next one, and then the next one. Your dreams are waiting for you to become the kind of person who can achieve them. Every day you choose to keep going despite the doubt, despite the lack of support, despite the challenges, you become more of that person. This is your time. This is your opportunity. This is your chance to prove that extraordinary achievement isn't reserved for those with perfect circumstances or unlimited support. It's available to anyone willing to believe in themselves when no one else will, to work when no one is watching, to persist when everyone else would quit. That person is you, and your time is now.